going on holiday.
Most are going.
Yes. There's some announcements first.
Well, our next meditation meeting will be on Tuesday, September the 12th. Just to remind you that during the holidays there are work parties every Thursday evening, starting at 7:30. This is in order to keep the house clean, and we'd be very glad if some of you would join in. It gives good company, and we have a paper to read as well, or something to read. Now, at the end of September, Miss Edna Joyce, whom some of you know, is going to move into the flat occupied up till now by Mrs. Hamilton Pearson, and she will help with the work of the house then. We want to get the flat ready for her, and on Thursday the 31st of August, Thursday the 31st, we're going to have a special working party in order to do this. So anyone who can come and help, we'd be grateful if you put your name down on the list in the hall.
31st of August.
And there are also lists there for the fortnight of work from September the 11th, when there's going to be decorating and maintenance work every evening. Again, there are details on the hall table.
Any questions? From the ones, obviously, who are not just going away. We've rather let you down about a report of the July meditation meeting. Only just got it corrected, but it'll be duplicated and copies will be available for the library and so on. People seem to want to be able to read that Upanishad again, and there were various practical questions dealt with. We'd like this time to go on with the practical side. From what I've heard everywhere, there's a bit too much talk about how to meditate. People are talking to themselves about meditation. They go for a check, and there's perhaps a bit too much talk. The Shankaracharya is always stressing that the work of meditating, which means giving up everything else for half an hour, has to be done by the person themselves. There's really nothing to be said about it. The person just has to sit with a straight back and start the mantra, putting maximum effort into the first 5 minutes, and there's nothing more to be said. And we want to get away from this dominant hemisphere, which is all the time wanting to talk about it instead of actually meditating. I hope you will sympathize with this point of view. Now, the question of checking. Sruma. What people seem to need is some confidant whom they respect, to whom they can turn if things are going wrong with them in any way, anything that makes the meditation temporarily difficult. They need to have somebody to turn to, and this person they turn to should be told confidentially about life circumstances, family circumstances, health, anything that may be interfering. The person should meditate with them perhaps, and see what's wrong, find out what the trouble is, and in many cases, any person who loves the meditation can probably solve the problem. If not, they can turn to a checker or somebody who had longer experience. Now, how does this appeal to you as answering a need? We all have difficulties. Meditation doesn't by any means always run smoothly. But does it really help to have a lot of verbal instructions? That's what I want to know. What about Michael Fleming and this Fleming? What do you feel about this question? We can have talks about it. If there's anything you would like to say.
I certainly agree that one shouldn't talk too much about it. Very much indeed. I think possibly one thing is that we also get our meditation too personal, too small a scale.
Mr. Fleming says that he quite agrees with what you say, that we shouldn't talk about it too much. But one thing he thinks is a difficulty is that we get our meditation too personal.
Yes, that's the other thing I wanted to go on to say, that meditation is to get rid of the changing ego. One wants to displace all thought about one's personal self. Personal thoughts are no use whatsoever in meditation, in half hour. Further, one's always assessing oneself as either doing rather poorly or doing awfully well or something like this. None of this really has any place in meditation at all, has it, Fleming? Don't you find that a lot of people's difficulties are thinking of it in terms of my meditation and me as a meditator, whereas the meditation is an active love towards one's true self, one's creator. It's a kind of dedication, a thank you dedication for half an hour in which you don't let anything else displace him from your consciousness. So much depends on getting that right. The Atman is rather like a child who wants to be noticed, who likes being, having some raison d'etre, having some reason for being there. He likes recognition. Instead of that, we keep saying what we're going to do, talking about our intentions, even during a half hour. Do you get me at all? He usually speaks without words. So, in order to understand the divinity of this individual, Atman, over the last 6 years or so, we've been advised and coached in trying to think of the self that lives in the hearts of all, trying to make universal this idea that in each of us is a spark of this ParamAtman, the self of the universe. And this, with the meditation, does away with the intrusion of what isn't really oneself at all: thoughts, feelings, intentions, psychology. So shall we now drop it all and turn with love in our hearts towards the self from whom all good things come, for a few minutes. There shouldn't be any strain about this. We read last time about the attitude that at every half hour one is approaching one's dearest love. And if one has that attitude, there's no need to strain about it. To the true Christian, they may be wondering why there's all this Eastern terminology and why isn't Christianity enough? That was rather emphasized because somebody wrote heard on the 19th of July last, quoted at evensong at King's College, Cambridge, in the Provost's closing prayer, a prayer by Christina Rossetti around 1900. I'll get Alan just to read the Christina Rossetti prayer because it seems the same thing.
O God of patience and consolation, grant, we beseech thee, that with free hearts we may love and serve thee and our brethren, and having thus the mind of Christ, may begin heaven on earth, and exercise ourselves therein till that day when heaven, where love abideth, shall seem no strange habitation to us. For Jesus Christ's sake.
Good to use that prayer if it appeals to you. There's no difference in the approach. There's merely this difference of the help we get from a special sound, 3 sounds in one, which has proved its worth for more than 25 centuries. And which helps to steady the straying mind. And produces the energy necessary for this communion with the Atman and ParamAtman, the pure sattva, the energy of awakening. And the other thing which helps that is to read such things as contain sattva. So if you don't want to ask anything or talk about that at the moment, we'll read you something. Well, I just wanted to say that the other thing I find myself doing wrong is stipulating that my meditation ought to be so and so. The great thing about meditation is to keep it going at all costs. And if you have to miss a period in the day, to try to make it up in 5 minutes. But to keep 2 periods going and never give up, however unrewarding it seems to be, never stop. And don't expect, when you're earning a living and supporting a family and having a very busy life, don't expect to have samadhi every time or something like this. Don't feel you're doing wrong if you don't reach the highest spots of meditation. Just keep it going. Enjoy the peace. Get what you can. Give what you can. Well, this was back in when?
67.
67. I think I asked
Yeah.
something about the mantra going to a certain place in one.
And he said, the Shankaracharya said, all the creatures in the world are running after bliss, happiness. This is the great eternal chase. We run with our subtle body and also with our coarse body. The coarse body gets recharged if it gets rest. And there are many levels of rest. A running man gets rest by standing. The standing man gets rest by sitting. The sitting man gets more rest by lying down on the bed. And one gets the complete rest by having a deep sleep. This is how one gets one's used up bodily energies back. Similarly, the meditation is to give rest to the subtle body. The mind is also running after happiness. Some run fast, others faster. With meditation, some just stand and have only a little rest. Some sit or lie down, and some are fortunate enough to dive deep and have the complete rest. According to the level of meditation, they derive their benefits. As one goes deeper and deeper, one adds to peace and happiness. The test of a good meditation is the abundance of happiness available then and there. The test of a good deep sleep is that one gets up fresh and energetic. The benefit of the meditation is not only happiness, but also that the physical body responds to efficient, precise work. This we must watch.
Any questions about that? Or anything that's questions that have arisen in your mind about meditation?
Mr. Lucas didn't quite get that very end bit.
Could you read that end at the end?
Yeah. As one goes deeper and deeper, one adds to peace and happiness. The test of a good meditation is the abundance of happiness available then and there. The test of a good deep sleep is that one gets up fresh and energetic. The benefit of the meditation is not only happiness, but also that the physical body responds to efficient and precise work. This we must watch.
Any questions you've saved up?
I find very often that the benefits of meditation don't manifest themselves until about half an hour or so after one has finished meditating. Can you say anything about it?
Bridget Hall was saying that she finds that the benefits of meditation very often don't manifest till about half an hour after the meditation's finished. Could you say something about this?
I think we all could say something about this, and you yourself, Bridget, too, that during a half hour you're not supposed really to know anything. You're not supposed to know whether you're in heaven or not in heaven, or but that the benefits come and happiness at any time after. Sometimes it's half an hour after, sometimes it's some quite unexpected time when you stop work at the end of the day, sometimes it's in the middle of the night. The test of a good 2.5 hours of meditation is that sometime in the course of the 24 hours you get a burst of happiness for no reason. You haven't deserved it. That answer your question? And just say thank you and get on with what you've got to do. Of course, what also helps is to be doing things for other people. One can live in a sort of ivory tower, being a super meditator, but that really doesn't help the Atman very much and doesn't give a great deal of use to one's life. Everything that is manifested has to be manifested on the physical level. I mean, one's kindness to other people, ordinary life, all this is part of the result one should get from being a meditator. So any little thing one can do for anybody is well worth doing and should help. Well then, to go on with that conversation.
You said that from one's heart, when one likes to do what is useful to the Atman, because one doesn't do that, because when one doesn't do that, one has a very bad time inside. And the Secretariat said, anything done for the benefit of the Atman is certainly good. And nothing could be better than meditation. This does not mean that one should simply go on meditating and resign from the worldly activity. If the practical world is ignored in preference to the real world, then there comes a danger that many others might also resign from the world. Thus, it is very important for the householders to find a measure in meditation as well. What one really needs is sufficient knowledge and pure being so as to handle the practical world with ease, precision, and efficiency, and also have peace and bliss within. In India, there is a group to which he himself belongs, which resigns from the worldly life and takes to a life which is hard from the worldly point of view, but pleasant from the spiritual point of view. Their job is simply to keep up the tradition and provide a link between the spiritual and the physical world. The householder only needs to equip himself with enough knowledge and meditation so that he can meet the world with precision and efficiency without any trouble from inside. The physical world, or the activities of the physical world, are very coarse. These should not be allowed to determine the activity within. Our job is to look more at the inner activity and resolve it so that we can manage the chaos which is prevalent outside.
Well, and then when one comes to the age of retirement, 65 perhaps, one can join this group of which the Shankaracharya is a member and devote oneself wholly to the needs of the Atman. One has done a life's work, done one's job, and one can then be part of that group, which is a very happy thing to be. Is that clear at all about the relation of meditators, meditation to householders? It's said, you see, that in the inner organ, the soul of each person, which contains all the latent possibilities of humanity, and there lives the Atman sitting in the very lap of the ParamAtman, in everybody. But the Atman doesn't realize this. He's so engaged with all the hubbub going on and so involved externally because of the way the individual is thinking and feeling all the time, that he is sitting in the very lap of the gorgeous ParamAtman without realizing it. And by the individual's efforts at getting peace inside, the Atman and the ParamAtman become one. And then all worry and sorrow disappears, and there's happiness all round. And that is self-realization. Nothing to do with Dr. Rose or Lady Allen or anybody. It's to do with the union of the Atman with the ParamAtman. Is that clear at all? I don't know whether you've all been practicing silence for many hours a day.
Dr. Rose, when one feels one's meditation is right, it has the feeling of making oneself available.
Miss Scrutton says, when one feels one's meditation is right, it has the feeling of making oneself available.
All right, there's too many one's meditation, too much oneself, and all the rest of it. But when the meditation is going rightly, one is available.
It has that taste.
It has that taste.
Yes, yes, fantastic. And this non-availability that we live in half the time, in a basement with all the blinds down, is due to the prevalence of tamas, the reaction, spiritual ennui, so that one realizes it's all the play of the gunas, and one tries to inject a little sattva into the situation. The trouble is one has an uncomfortable feeling that there are a lot of people in this room who know much more than I do about it. And it's a bit difficult sermonizing. But I wish they'd come out with something. Somebody's got to do the gagging.
I would like to hear more what you mentioned earlier about the first 5 minutes of real effort.
Mr. Geoffroy said he would like to hear more about what you mentioned earlier about the effort in the first 5 minutes of meditation.
What should we say more about that? Because it was said to you, wasn't it?
Well, yes. Do you think it is that one so often just sits down and thinks one's going to meditate, and then all the things just start turning? But if one is really determined for that first, not less than even 5 minutes, don't you think, that you've absolutely established something then that is there for the rest of the half hour, and so although thoughts inevitably get the attention moves, there's something always to come back to if it's started. Otherwise, half hour's gone before we know what's happened. I mean, I don't know whether that's right or not.
I agree, yeah.
I'd like to ask about that, Dr. Rose, because when you brought it up at the last meditation meeting a month ago, I realized that for a long time I've found a sort of rhythm with which I started, which didn't involve very much effort, but I think it did involve quite a lot of daydreaming. So I decided it was a very salutary moment to start again with this type of effort mentioned, but I couldn't find out how to make this loud effort. And
I think this is what a lot of people.
Yes, and I wondered, I was going to ask whether it was valid, but the only way I could really feel was the same sort of effort that one would put, say, into singing the national anthem at the top of your voice or something, some inner way of throwing myself into it. I really couldn't. It took a long time to find a way of putting the effort back in.
Well, the mantra can vary greatly in two ways. It can vary greatly in speed. It can go very fast or it can go very slow. But it can also vary greatly in loudness. And I think that, well, how I try to do it is that when I sit to meditate, I sound the mantra loudly. You can make it sound loudly, so it fills the whole space to yourself. There's no room for anything else to come in.
Well, the only way I could describe it to myself was like trying to sing something
Yes,
absolutely...
yes, singing the national anthem.
May I say something about this? I have on occasion in singing practice, if I got the right note, suddenly there was a complete silence.
Mr. Geoffroy said that in this connection he's found with singing practice that if he got the right note, there was suddenly complete silence.
I think it's something like that in meditating, to, with your mind on the Atman, sound the right note somehow. But each person has to find out what this means at different times, yes.
found that if I had a lot of thoughts going on, it didn't help to sound mantra loudly, because it just got muddled up more with thoughts. I found it much more helpful just listen to silence and let the mantra just come out of silence. Is this all right?
Miss Cassini said that she would like to ask something on this because she found if she had a lot of thoughts, that sounding the mantra loudly didn't help. It seemed to get all muddled up with the thoughts. And when this happened, she found that if she thought of the silence and then let the mantra come out of the silence, this seemed to work better.
Yeah, well,
Is this all
fine,
right?
you see. One needs absolutely anything that will work at any time. There's no one thing. You see. That's fine. What do you think, Lucas, about it?
Which way? Mr. Lucas said he can't get on with it that way. He just can't do it that way.
Yeah, well, we're all different, you see, and that's why each person's got to do
Saying
the
it
work.
loudly. Saying it loudly. Yes, Mr. Lucas can't get on with saying it loudly.
Saying it loudly. No, okay. But at the same time, don't make me believe you aren't meditating very happily.
Yes, Mr. Lucas, it's like Mr. Cassini. It has to come out of
Good.
the silence.
Well, that's fine. Better have lunch together. But now, as a beginner, we've had all the pundits talking. What about people starting? Because really one does very well at the start until one gets a sort of communal meditative attitude. Anybody wanting to know simple questions such as the Atman might understand? No, all right, perhaps it's better not, better left unsaid. Anyway, it's a delightful kind of work to be doing, to find out the true nature of the self, which is the only permanent thing in the universe, and try and serve the self in any way that will please him. It's a lovely thing to be given to do. And don't let's ever regard the meditation as a chore, as, oh dear, I've got to do this half hour. Won't work like that. Well, now, how hungry are you? There was an interesting question which the New Zealanders asked. Are our friends from Sydney, Australia, here today? No, they didn't make it, no. Mrs. Howard asked, what is it that repeats the mantra? What you call mantra means the same thing as the Atman, your own Atman. And Atman is at the root of it. So when you are totally absorbed in meditation, then in that case, it stands to reason that mantra and Atman have become one. Here's an example. Take a pot of earth. It's made of earth. When the pot is destroyed, it comes to an end. It mingles with the earth. Like this with the mantra. As long as we pronounce it, it is a sound. But when it merges into the Atman, it is Atman. The same thing taking a different form. Under one set of circumstances, earth becomes a pot, and similarly under one set of circumstances, the mantra is a mantra. But in different circumstances, the mantra becomes the Atman. I'll explain this concept further, he said, pointing to a bowl of fruit in front of him. This is an apple. What is it? Apple is merely a word. Try to describe it. It is fruit. Fruit, all right. But what is the apple? It is sweet, all right, but the question's not answered. What is it then? It is the fruit. the tree, everything. But still the question is not answered. For apple is only apple. And finally now I think. So the mantra, you start it and it's a sort of audible, tangible mantra. But it goes through a series of transformations. And when it fades out altogether, it is what you're aiming for, the object of meditation, and will show itself in that some kind of flutter of happiness or some form of manifestation may arise at the Atman's pleasure. I was trying to think up a story that would please you and you'd be able to carry in your mind. It was a story, which I may be able to remember, told to the Heights on this occasion, when they were asked to come to a meeting of the Shankaracharya's people at his ashram. And he was saying that the ParamAtman, the self of the universe, gives everybody what they deserve, what is good for them and what they deserve. Illustrated by a fable. There was once a holy man who had the reputation that whatever anybody asked him, he could bring about. And he traveled around, and at a certain village, they came and asked him things. One man asked him for more money. He said, I'm miserable without any money. The holy man said, of course I can let you have money, but you won't like it. If I had money, everything would be okay. Then an old woman came and said that she'd left her husband because he was very cruel, and now she was very lonely, and could the holy man get him to take her back? And he said, of course, I can get him to take you back, but you won't like it. And then another man came and said, my marriage is childless. I have no children. Do bring it about that we have children. And the holy man said, yes, certainly I'll bring it about. You will have children, but you won't like it. And after a time, he came back to see how it was going. He stayed in a place outside the village and had reports given him. And the man who wanted money had heaps of money, very, very rich. All his friends were sponging on him. His relatives came and demanded money all the time. His servant put poison in his food. Luckily, the man gave it to the dog first, and it died quickly. So he spotted it. But he said, I must find this holy man and get him to stop me having all this money, because life was quite tolerable before. The old lady who was taken back by her husband said, I must find this holy man. My husband is giving me a good beating every day. Life is appalling. I wish I hadn't gone back to it. And the man with children had a family now. The children had very bad nature. They caused trouble all around, everywhere. And he wanted to find the holy man and get the children taken away from him. And this is the thing about us, that the dominant hemisphere keeps asking for things. And we're surprised when we get them, because the inner quiet hemisphere doesn't like it at all. So be careful what you ask. Choose something which pleases the whole of you. But it's to illustrate the fact that there is no injustice anywhere, because the divine self gives to everybody what's best for them and what they deserve. All right, you don't believe me? I think it's almost time to stop, isn't it?
Yes, 5 minutes.
Well, I hope you will come and decorate the flat and do the other things, and we'll try and have something nice and enticing to reward you.